Sharon, Kent County, Michigan, family court corruption. It is my prayer for Congress not only to keep their hands out of the family courts and their involvement, but to do away with CPS. The indictment of several judges, especially the Honorable Patricia Gardner, who handled my case. Guardian ad litems, get rid of them. The authorities, get rid of them. In my case, there was no justice, absolutely no justice. And from what I understand, from what I see and what I've been listening to, there's no justice in our courts through CPS. There's no protection for our children. No children is safe, not one child. Our children suffer greatly. I have 3 of them. The government needs to keep their hands off. In CPS, you need to revamp, you need licensed caseworkers, you need people that are schooled in psychology, college degrees for child psychology for children and how to relate to them and talk to them and listen to their truths. These children need to be heard. They are abandoned, they are abused, they're given away, they are destroyed. I have 3 of them. Something seriously needs to be done. And hopefully Lawless America is going to help make some major changes, open some eyes. People need to be knowledged. Make yourself aware, people. You think it's not going to happen to you or it's not going to happen to your daughter or your neighbor. It will, and it does. Make yourself aware. Watch and believe. Please believe.
Okay, Sharon, let's go back and fill in a bunch of blanks and hear about the bad stuff. So, 3 children.
3 children.
And you were a married lady?
Yes, I was married.
And when did you meet this man?
I married this man in 1994. I already had 3 children from previous marriage. 2 from a previous marriage. 1, my 7-year-old son, his father chose not to be in his life. And so I was a single mom from that relationship. Okay. So when I married, I had 3 children. And then we had 2 daughters of our own.
And how long had you known this man that you married in 94?
A year.
Okay. And when did the problems start? I assume they were problems.
Immediately in the marriage, within 6 months of the marriage, yes. He was emotionally and physically abusive to the 3 children that I had previously. Very physically and verbally abusive to my older children.
All right. Take me through that. What all do you want to tell us about that?
I want to tell you about the weekend of August 8th, 1999. I was in Steubenville, Ohio, with my oldest daughter. We were on a church retreat, and the 3 children were left home with my then husband. My daughter and I came home on a Sunday night, and all the children were in bed. My husband at the time worked out of town for weeks at a time and was only home on the weekends. Monday morning when my children woke up, my daughter had an accident and had wet herself. I took her into the bathroom to clean her up because this was unusual. She had been potty trained for a while and never had accidents. And when she had the accident, she cried very hard. I took her into the bathroom, and she did not want to get in the tub. I had to really talk her into it, and as I undressed her, she told me, "Don't open it." I said, "Don't open what?" before I realized what she was talking about. She said, "Dad opened it, and he had a knife." I immediately got on the phone with my pediatrician because we had other suspicions that this type of abuse some type of abuse was going on with the children, along with the physical and verbal abuse. My two daughters were taken to the Children's Assessment Center in Grand Rapids. They were both examined by Dr. Cox. Amelia her exam was clear. Abigail had a vaginal lesion from top to bottom. Dr. Cox told me that the lesion had happened within the last 48 hours, that it would have bled profusely, and that she would have been in extreme pain. Abigail also told Dr. Cox the exact same thing she told Mom, that Dad opened it. He had a knife, and she gave him a little more details. Adam and Amelia also disclosed that Amelia heard Abby crying because she and Adam were watching TV, and she ran back to the bedroom. And Abby was laying on the bed, and Daddy was naked. And Dad spanked her and told her that you don't belong in this room, and so she ran out to get her brother Adam. She went back into the bedroom and hid in the closet. Abby continued to lay there and cry for Mommy, and she went back out a second time for Adam. The second time Adam came, they watched Dad try to clean Abby up. He put cream on her vagina after he had placed her in the tub. Adam wrote to the therapist that I've been with, Dr. Carol Kramer, actually drew and told Dr. Carol Kramer what happened, what he witnessed. He also told Dr. Carol Kramer that there was so much blood in the tub that he thought his daughter was going to die.
Thought his sister?
I'm sorry, his sister was going to die. Dr. Cox told me to go home after this and wait for CPS to call. So I went home thinking there'd be authorities, something would be done, especially you've got 3 kids, you've got 2 witnesses, and also his exam. But Abby also disclosed to Dr. Carol Kramer also and drew her own picture of what Daddy did. Let's move 2 years forward. I still have custody. June 1st, children 24/7 while my husband's out on the road for 2 weeks at a time, that there was no maternal bond between not one of my children. I can show you pictures, of the bond with my children. My 17-year-old son, who went to live with his dad, left at 17 and called me, came back to live with Mom. But 6 months afterwards, he attempted suicide. My 20-year-old son, Patricia Gardner, want her to know, has no life skills. He has no self-esteem. He's just...
You want to keep going, or you want me to ask questions?
Go ahead.
Horrible story. I'd like to get a better understanding of what exactly happened that your ex-husband did with your daughter with the knife.
He did not hit her. And that came from Dr. Carol Kramer.
So did your daughter ever say that he penetrated her?
That's another thing too, because for 6 years she openly would just tell even strangers what her dad did. My dad cut me in the vagina with a knife. I mean, I would go to church and she would be in a group and just start talking to the teachers about what her dad did. So then they would come and get me. So I have all these reports from all these teachers and psychiatrists and of people that my children have openly disclosed to that was not even aware of. But DHS says I'm the one that made 15-odd reports, false reports, I never made one false report to DHS. And all the reports that were made, I wasn't even aware of. But and after the abuse, when I called the authorities for 2 weeks straight and left messages and told them I had underwear, I had a mattress, which I still have to this day. I still have the mattress with her blood on it. Hey. The detective, after 2 weeks, Detective McAllery, who still is down at Kent County, said to me, your husband is going to take a polygraph test today. If he passes the test, I will not be out to see the mattress. If he does not pass the test, I will come and get the mattress. I never heard from him again. My ex-husband was in the Marine for 13 years. What do they teach him to do? Pass a polygraph. So, I mean, there's corruptness from him, you know. They stood to lose their only son. They stood to lose a business. They had a lot of money. He knew everybody in the system. There was even allegations that he and Mickey White, the caseworker, had a relationship. And that came from the actual Mickey White.
So the cutting is atrocious, and it was witnessed by 2 children?
2 children.
And then obviously the child was cut. And did Judge Gardner know all this?
We would hand her documents. My attorney too passed away. I had a very good attorney, and once she passed away, I kind of was done, you know. And after 4 years of supervised visits with Bethany Christian Services, who is all a part of it, what woman does 4 years of supervised visits? I mean, come on. You know, and another caseworker would be in there listening to our visits, and he turned to Mickey or Holly Chadwick and said, why are they in here? They sound like a perfectly normal family. Hello? Because we are. So then she says, well, I don't really see a need for supervised visits. Are you know, and I'm like, hello? You need to contact Patricia Gardner. Well, the visits just ended. That was it. I was done. So I haven't had no contact. I don't talk to my girls. I get pictures off of Facebook. I let friends leave messages through their Facebook to my daughters.
So Judge Gardner had knowledge of all this? Did she ever hear the children?
No, she never heard the children. We have handwritten documentation from the pediatrician. We have reports documented in her reports of when Abby's abuse started when she was 6 months old. 6 months old. But we would lay the document in front of her and she'd set it aside. She wouldn't read it, you know, and it's like you would go into her courtroom and it's just dark. And you know, I don't stand a chance. Why am I here? For the week before, I would be sick to my stomach. I wouldn't sleep. You know, to even think about going back into her courtroom today, no thank you. I'll wait till my daughters turn 18. I'm sorry I had to wait all this long. I'm sorry I missed all these years. You know, I cry when I see other mothers with their daughters. It pains me. But vengeance is mine, said the Lord. He's got the plan all worked out. You know, we'll have our time. Well, you know, it'll all be good. And we'll all have our justice and we'll all have our say, whether it be in a book or what have you. But oh my gosh, people need to be aware. The corruptness, the judges, it's unbelievable. Unbelievable. And I just can't stress enough, Bethany, the guardian ad litems, DHS, and the courts, they all work together. And they do not care about the children. Not at all whatsoever.
I didn't realize it until an hour or two ago, but one of my Facebook friends uses the name Bethany Christian Bethany.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not somebody's name, is it?
No, I blocked them.
You blocked them?
Bethany Christian. Bethany, if it's Bethany, yeah. Anything to do with Bethany Christian Services.
You don't want to see it.
Oh, no.
So it's probably
No.
a very good person who's negative toward Bethany Christian. But,
Good point. this man should have done. And then Adam, 6 months into all of this, said that he also was abused by this man, that he would squeeze his penis until it hurt when he would read them, because we would take turns reading stories at night. You know, so you've got 2 disclosures to a psychologist, you know, a doctorate. And today, she's here. I mean, she's here, but she's not. And he should be doing 2 terms for child sexual abuse. And this guy's out there around other people's kids. Not to even mention what's been ongoing, you know?
What's his name?
Ron Cooper.
Ron Cooper. What does Ron do for a living?
They own a greenhouse. They have a business, family business.
Here in Grand Rapids?
In Kent City.
Has the media covered this?
No. You know, we get just so far, and that, you know, we're thinking we're making headway. We think that, you know, we're getting somewhere, something's going to be done, you know. But
well, what if I have a story on my site by this weekend that says Ron Cooper of Kent City, Michigan, abused his children and even there's documented evidence and eyewitnesses that he took a knife to the vagina of one of the children, and yet Judge Patricia Gardner gave custody to him and gave the mother the parental death penalty.
please.
Are you?
Please.
Should I be worried he'll bring a knife to me? I'm not worried about it.
No, but, you know, another thing is, too, is nobody's gone to Abby. And she would say to me, Mom, why doesn't nobody believe me? Why doesn't anybody believe us? And I said, Abby, I don't know. But if people would just even ask Abby, I mean, Adam was interviewed here 3 years ago and admitted to all of this. And it's been shown and it's been watched. Where's the justice? Have Adam, please.
I will. I'll be delighted to. And I have a story from Detroit that is not with a child, but with a police officer who threatened his children with his knife, pulled a knife on his ex-wife, raped her, and of course completely covered up. It's my second knife story in 2 days. What I'd like to do is get the magic soundbite that encompasses in kind of summary bullet points what happened. Let me make a stab, but you'll do it better than I will. I married Ron Cooper in 1994. I had 3 children at the time. We had 2 daughters. He became emotionally and physically abusive. We have eyewitnesses, pediatrician reports of what he did, and be a little bit graphic. And Judge Patricia Gardner ignored all of this, set the evidence aside, has taken the children away from me and given them to him. And there is no justice, something like that. I'll let you go whenever you're ready.
I, Sharon Cole, married Ron Cooper in 1994. At the time, I was a single mom with 3 children. I had 2 teenagers and a 18-month-old son whose father did not want to be part of his son's life or in my life. After Ron and I were married, we immediately had 2 daughters. During the pregnancies, he was physically and verbally abusive to both Gabe and Nicole. He would even put his arm and choke Gabe around the neck, and I would have to pull Ron off of Gabe. Gabe and Nicole also reported to me that he would pick Adam up off the ground at 3 years of age by the neck. In 1999, August 1999, my daughter and I went to Steubenville for a retreat. That weekend, he sexually abused our daughter, 3-year-old daughter, Abby, which was witnessed by Amelia and Adam. I fought for 2 years with DHS, the authorities, to get justice, to get him picked up, something to be done to protect my children. He was allowed to see them and get visits. 2 years later, DHS comes in, removes all children from my home. They immediately go into foster care. Patricia Gardner not only gives the girls custody to the father, my husband Ron Cooper, the abuser, but takes my 9-year-old son and gives him to a father who had signed off his parental rights. Had nothing to do with my son, but saw him twice at the age of 9 for 1 hour. My son didn't even know who this man was. Patricia Gardner took my son from his only siblings and family, and he went to live with the family, complete family, and people that he didn't even know. I also got supervised visits with all of these children and no overnight visits. Such corruption and injustice. The abuser is favored by the courts and by the judge.
That's good. What law firm represented your husband in Judge Gardner's case?
That's another good thing. He used John Conroy for our divorce, and he's a criminal attorney. And he's dirty. He's very dirty.
Can you prove that?
Yeah.
You can. If you're saying it.
There's, you know, for me to go in front of Patricia Gardner for motion after motion, and for him to stand there and just trash me to, you know, to no end, and for her, I mean, it's kind of hard to explain. I don't, you know, maybe that's what all attorneys do. I don't know. Maybe that's how all.
Did he lie?
Oh yeah. Oh my goodness.
Did he know that he lied?
Oh yeah.
Well,
oh yeah.
He committed fraud on the court at the
Yes.
very least.
Yes.
He committed
Many times.
obstruction of justice.
Yes.
These are crimes. The man has committed crimes, so you know he's dirty. You have proof he's dirty. You
Yes.
will testify that he's dirty.
Yes.
You will swear under oath that he's dirty.
Yes. Yes. And you know, the bill that was passed, my name is on the bill. The 2 sheriffs that came into my home, it was a violation of the civil rights of my 3 children and myself. They had no right to come into my home. I did not know that. Had I known that, oh my gosh, I'd still have my babies today, and I would be where nobody would know where I am, you know. That bill, you know, is supposed to, no officer, no DHS worker is to enter a home without a warrant, without a CPS worker, some type of paperwork or warrant, and it has to have a CPS worker. You know, it can't be like what happened to us. Is this enforced? I don't know.
Most folks that have to probably don't have a clue, so
Yeah.
that it exists. All right. What all do you want changed?
Oh my goodness. Protection for our children. I mean, this is so serious. These are our children that are going to grow up and run our country 20, 30 years from now. I mean, you see children that have no respect not only for their elders, but for themselves or others. So many lost children into drugs, into drinking, into, you know, because of the courts, the system, and DHS, you know?
Yeah, my personal opinion is that this is the biggest problem that children have ever had in America.
Yes.
This
Yes.
CPS, DCFS.
You need to change CPS dramatically. But the judges, and you know, in some, like Patricia Gardner, you know, I hear a few others, but none as bad as Patricia Gardner. as far as the destroying of families. And
Does she ever do it to men?
no, and that's a good point. I'm glad you asked me that, because I went in for a child support, because I had to pay child support to my perpetrator, which I still do to this day. I am remarried and have a son, and was paying part minimal of my support. So he dragged me into the court for failure to pay full child support. I was sentenced for 30 days to go to jail. The woman that was in the cell with me also had Patricia Gardner. And we're sitting there talking, and she says to me, there was 2 men before me. She let them go. She gave them 30 days. They could pay with a check or cash, but they had 30 days to come up with. And then she and I were her next women. Both of us were sentenced to 30 days. So I'm glad that you asked that question, yes. She does favor the men.
Let me just say that as a soundbite. Judge Patricia Gardner favors men.
Men.
And we've got lots of proof of it.
Lots of proof of it.
Say it as a soundbite.
Judge Patricia Gardner favors men. And we have lots of proof. Lots of proof to prove that. It's like she has a vendetta against women. Seriously, she has a vendetta against women. And I'd like to know what it is.
Is Judge Patricia Gardner married?
Good question.
You don't know?
I don't know.
I wonder if she's a product of, she must be a product of foster care and adoption.
Well, you know, Dr. Carol Kramer, who's worked with me through this whole process, you know, has voiced the same opinion. Obviously, somebody did something female to her somewhere along the line.
I mean, I have nowhere else, I have over 600 of the people that I'm interviewing are children in family court. And I don't have anywhere that we have 52 women. This is a unique, 52 women had their parental rights taken away by one judge. All women. We don't have any men that have come forward about Judge Patricia Gardner, and we promoted it. There's something especially right.
Very, very, very.
Just send an invitation to her to come down.
Oh, please. You know, and on that thought right there, my daughters, you know, through my prayer with my father, I pray, Lord, one day, Adam, Amelia, and Abby and I will sit in front of Patricia Gardner and ask her why, after we've all had our say. It will happen.
That'll be at her sentencing. We have a woman, Marie Miller. She is in New Hampshire. She'll relocate wherever is necessary. She's volunteered to be the warden at no pay at the prison where we put all these corrupt judges and federal officials. And at almost every stop, I have people volunteering to be prison guards. They'll all work for free. It's not going to cost much. I have a woman says she'll cook for them. She got some special. She was watching, what was that thing? The recent movie about the maids. You don't know?
No.
There's a chocolate pie. She's working on special chocolate pies.
Mm-hmm.
She got the recipe from this movie. You'll have to now figure out what the movie is and watch it to fully appreciate that. Would you like to look in the camera and give a message to your children?
Oh my God. My daughter Abby, you turned 16 yesterday, and I spent the day going through boxes and boxes of documentation to be here today, to be interviewed, to be a voice for you, Amelia, and Adam. And Lord, I pray for you girls. One day you will be heard, and one day there will be justice. And I love you, and I miss you. And I can't wait to hold you in my arms again. I'm so sorry for everything that you've been through. We've all gone through. miss you.